Welcome to Aware. We are dedicated to communicating information that inspires your positive growth and change. Are you interested in a peaceful planet? Are you interested in optimal health? Are you living with purpose? Are you enjoying your life? We realize each person can make a difference, and our mission is to empower your awareness. The choices that you make in every moment shape your life, and we encourage you to realize that you have your own answers and to always listen to your own truth. We invite you to stay aware.
Hello, I am Lisa Garr, and I'm so grateful to be here with you. You have no idea. Just staying connected through the Aware Show and having the opportunity to have conversations with brilliant people it just makes my day. And I hear from you all over the world that it does the same for you to inspire your positive growth and change. And that is what we do every day on the Aware Show. So thank you so much for joining me. You can also check out the podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts. The Aware Show podcast is there for you as well, anytime. So have you ever looked up to the stars and looked for answers? Did you know that your blueprint is stamped on you the second that you are born? That is a mystical, astrological blueprint that determines your future, your past. And these systems for astrology, specifically we're talking today about Western astrology, have been around hundreds, thousands of years. And since 1995, my friend Susan Miller created astrologyzone.com. 1995, she created the website astrologyzone.com. She's considered in the field of Western astrology one of the foremost authorities on Western astrology. Her website is read, and her app now is read by 11 million unique readers a year. And she is on the Apple Store and Google Play and celebrated worldwide because you can get a daily little reading right there. And I live by this. I mean, you get today and then yesterday and then tomorrow. And you can get a little bit or you can get a lot. And Susan is an incredible writer. She writes all of this herself. I'm so proud to have her on. Welcome, Susan Miller.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. This is fun.
Oh,
New York to Los Angeles, right across the country.
I know, this is so much fun. Tell me, since the beginning of the year, there's so much going on astrologically, and we saw the great conjunction happen. So many things have happened since then. Let's just start off with the beginning. What is 2021 looking like astrologically for the US at least?
It's a rebuilding year, and I don't think anybody will be surprised to hear that. You know, after the hurricane, everybody runs out on the beach to see what's still standing. Is my little favorite store still there? Is my neighbor's house still there? We still don't know. We're in the middle of this. And this virus seems to have an intelligence to it. The minute we get our vaccine, it starts mutating. And right now it's mutating at a very high degree. Dr. Fauci said the one in South Africa is 70% more deadly. So we really have to listen to the scientists. And Dr. Fauci seems giddy these days. He's on and he's able to speak the truth fully. And we follow it. My daughter, who lives in LA, did not come home for Thanksgiving or Christmas. So I haven't seen her since last August, when we did take a little family vacation in the Hamptons for 1 week, but it was kind of safe. But actually the New York COVID people called her every single day. They apologized. She said, "Don't apologize. I'm happy that you're calling me." She never went out to a restaurant with us. We brought back her food. I mean, we followed all the rules, but we just thought if she didn't come in the summer where we could be outside a lot, and my other daughter brought her little boy who's 4, we wouldn't have a chance, but we do a lot of FaceTime, and we try to get around it,
We're learning to live with it. And so I was wondering if you could go a little bit into the history of astrology, maybe to how used by kings and monarchs back in the day.
Well, it started in Mesopotamia, in Babylonia, by the Chaldeans in 2500 BC. What was interesting is I did a study on the history of astrology for my book, Planets and Possibilities, which is temporarily out of print because I bought the rights back. But that chapter was very complicated. And I learned that how it started is the shepherds tending their sheep. As twilight would come and it would get dark, they could see the stars better than we can because we have so many lights. It was dark. And they started writing down what they saw. Oh, there's an eclipse. Oh, there's a new moon. Oh, there's a comet. Whatever it was, they realized that this must have some significance. Then there's 88 constellations. People think there's only 12. There's 88, but they were compressed into 12, the little circle of animals. But we have Virgo, who's a person, so not all of them are. And Libra is the scales. It's not an animal, but they, for example, Cancer. Cancer is a little crab, but Cancer is associated with the stomach and food. But the crab doesn't eat very much. So you might say, how's that work?
Right.
Well, right above the crab, the constellation of the little bear is. He eats a lot. The little bear is always hungry. So they kind of joined the meaning of the aspects and of the constellations. The New York.
How did they shrink the 80 to 12?
Well, they agreed on it. A lot of discussion, a lot of empirical research. And then the king, it used to be only the province of the king, or very wealthy families that could afford the services of the mathematical professor at a nearby university who could get to the castle or their mansion, thinking, Downton Abbey.
Yes.
And,
the castles. Bridgerton. I'm a Bridgerton fan.
Oh, I've been watching that all week. It's
amazing.
Little bits. It's so delicious, Yes, going to Bridgerton, but they the mathematician would have to get back to the university so he could teach the next day. So he would come and cast a chart. And in the beginning, it was mainly the king saying, what am I not thinking of? Do I have advancing armies to the north, to the south, to the east, to the west? Do I have to worry about famine, an uprising, flooding? What am I not thinking about? Just like CEOs today, they teach you in business school, because I went to NYU business. They teach you have to do a lot of what if and be ready. As a CEO, you have to be on the top. You can't be so overburdened that you can't move in any direction when an emergency comes up. So that was mainly who started to have the astrologer. But it's come down through all the ages. But what was interesting to me, I noticed that China, India, Mesopotamia, all the different countries were getting into astrology. The Greeks loved it, and the Egyptians put it on the map. The Romans picked it up. These were powerful cultures. And but all the cultures were coming to the same general conclusion without any communication with each other, because there really wasn't any communication. They would have to go on horseback very far to visit another country. Most of them didn't travel very much. And if they did, they weren't going to talk about astrology. They were going to talk about the Silk Road and all the spices they could get and things like that. It wasn't first on their list, but they were finding it was very helpful, particularly for the farmers, when to sow the seeds, when to bear the crop and have the harvest. Well, it's the same in modern life. I can tell you when to sow the seeds and when the harvest is likely to come in.
In a business or in a personal life or whatever.
Yeah, in any question you have, it covers all of life, because the horoscope wheel has 12 parts of life. And sometimes one area of the chart is very lit up, which will happen in February, because we're going to have a conglomeration of 6 planets in Aquarius. And 6 is the maximum number you could have. Back in the year 2000, in May, there were 7. And I remember going on CNN, and it was split screen with Dr. Horkheimer from the JPL.
Wow.
And he said, there never will be 7 again in our lifetime. But we will have 6. And this is one of the examples next month on February 11th, when all the little planets come to welcome the majestic new moon dressed in her white gown and white long gloves at the arm of the sun, wearing a tux, and they enter with their entourage of Venus and Mercury and Jupiter and Saturn and Mars can't come, he's busy, but
I love how you personify the planets. I love this.
But
what does it mean though? What is the significance of this?
That means a lot of energies in one part of your chart.
Okay.
And it'll be very visible. People who don't believe in astrology will start believing in February.
What are we expecting though? Because I can't remember what happened last year other than just a giant nightmare.
You didn't have it last year.
We had 7,
did you
right?
know that every day gives you a completely different chart? That's why when you were born, it will never be recreated again, ever. You are unique in the universe. And you know, the symbol for the sun in the chart, your birthday, is a circle with a dot in the middle. And I started studying the symbols that the ancients gave us. The dot in the middle is the divine spark within, a little piece of God that we're given. That's a tremendous responsibility.
Is that why they associated the birth time and the birthplace and everything?
Well, I mean, it tells you the exact position of the planets. And it's, you know, there's a fairy tale my mother used to read, and there was the baby and the bassinet, and all the fairies would come and, oh, I'm going to give her kindness, I'm going to give her intelligence. They all brought gifts. Well, that's what the planets are doing. They're giving you gifts, talents, but it's up to you to develop them. I'm sure Beyonce was given singing lessons and a coach. You know, she didn't get to where she is without hard work, but she had the original talent. And we have to take feedback. You know, I do believe anything's possible, but we all know people who try to become, say, an actress, they don't really have acting ability, but they could be brilliant writers of screenplays or costume designers, or I can see in the chart which way to go. You know, so
would you say each sign is predisposed to, maybe there is one sign that is more about engineers or mathematicians, or one sign that is more creative?
Aquarius.
Okay.
Geminis are brilliant writers. As a matter of fact, in ancient days, they used to say that the king would say, we have to get a Gemini to write the new laws of the land on the clay tablets. Because if he had anybody else write them, no one knew how to follow them. So
what are Capricorns?
Gemini was the scribe of the zodiac. If you don't have any Gemini or Virgo, you might not want to be a writer, but you might be something else related. You could be the publisher if you have a lot of Sagittarius in your chart, or even one powerful planet there. If you want to be a photographer, it was very good to have Pisces or Leo. If you want to be an actor, you have to have some important Leo. You must.
Interesting. So what about Capricorn, which happens to
They
me?
are the people who make the money.
Oh, really?
And Plato called them you're a little Capricorn, little goat climbing up to the top of the mountain. They're very ambitious. They care a lot about their reputation more than anything in the world. And they're smart, because the reputation of each of us is something no one can take away. And it's the most precious thing we have.
Yeah.
Now we can shoot ourselves in the foot. We know people who've done that, but as long as you see it as a precious jewel, you will keep it, you know, sterling. They say that Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. So it rules structure, the hierarchy of a company, the bones in your body. That's hierarchy, kind of the structure. any kind of structure is ruled by Capricorn. And Capricorn also rules the bones and teeth, and especially the knees. So some Capricorns have a little trouble with their knees. And I always say, be good to your knees, because they're always climbing up the mountain.
Yes,
You
I
know,
am.
see, and Capricorn usually does well in big companies because they know the next rung, where to aim for next. Whereas Aries hates big companies, needs to be alone a lot, not overly supervised. They're the entrepreneurs. They come up with fabulous ideas. But then when the business starts growing by leaps and bounds, they're like, ah! And Taurus comes in with his little briefcase. Okay, we're going to get you some insurance. We're gonna invest some things. I'm gonna get you some investors. We're gonna get payroll. We're gonna give this company a grown-up foundation.
That's their job.
Each sign of the zodiac on the wheel is opposite in temperament of the sign that became before it. So where Taurus, money is very important, and accumulating wealth, a nest egg, maybe having some real estate. They love to have a home with some greenery. They love that. They love fresh flowers, and they love chocolate, you know. And Aries says, but Taurus, you stay home so much. Oh, it's fine. On a Friday night, they pour some wine and read their bank statement. I'm doing so well. I've made such wise decisions. Gemini is like, oh, mamma mia. They need to be out all the time as much as possible. I would say Gemini and Sagittarius are having the hardest time with the pandemic because they're aching to travel. But it's, you know, they say it's not the airplane, it's the airport, the TSA that's the problem.
Now, what is Biden's sign? Do you know his birth sign?
Biden's a Scorpio.
Scorpio.
So he's very discreet and very, very loyal, and will never divulge secrets. You tell a Scorpio something, it's in a locked box for life. You tell a Gemini, that's, oh, I won't tell anyone, and they're calling their best friend next. You're not going to believe what I just heard. You know.
And what was Trump? Trump was is a
Gemini.
Oh.
They had Leo rising. So you could tell he had Leo rising because he redid the Oval Office in gold, as if it were
like the
Leo
Trump
the
Tower.
14th. You know, he loves gold. Even in Trump Towers, gold, gold, gold.
Yes.
You know, so that's a signature of Leo.
Oh my goodness, I had no idea. So,
but Giuliani is a Gemini, and so is Pence. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But see, you can see that. See, not all Geminis are alike. Giuliani talks a lot, definitely. Sometimes. Well, this is an opinion, sometimes a little too much, but other people may disagree with me. It's just my opinion. But Trump was born on a full moon with the moon in Sagittarius. Sag can't hold anything in. You pretty much knew where President Trump was in his head by reading his Twitter. You know, it was almost like stream of consciousness.
Right.
You know, it would just, he couldn't hold it in if he wanted to. Or if they made him give a small speech that he didn't want to give, he'd give it. And then a few hours later, I shouldn't have given that speech. I didn't like that speech. It just bursts out. There's no holding it back, you know, but at least you knew what was going on inside.
So, can you tell me if there's a difference between 2020 and 2021 astrologically?
Yes. And I think I'm learning. First of all, I did not see the pandemic coming. Neither did the World Health Organization or the CIA. Nobody did. And it's funny how blissfully unaware we were in January and February, a year ago now.
Right.
And I had Bloomingdale's gave me my own boutique. And I remember it was in the Westfield Mall in LA, and in San Francisco downtown, and in New York flagship on the main floor next to the elevators, and in New Jersey in the Bergen Mall. And they said, you'll have it for 2 months. And so March 1st, they're taking it down. And I'm standing there feeling sad, not knowing by March 20th, it's almost like that fairy tale where everybody froze and the waiter's pouring wine and the wine stops midair and freeze,
Uh-huh.
all of life went into a deep freeze. Jupiter and Pluto met last year. I did not know that Pluto rules viruses. We've always known that Pluto and Jupiter are high financial planets. I mean, really heavy duty. And so I felt there would be big financial deals, bigger than anything we had ever seen. And but what they turned out to be were stimulus packages in the trillions, which I didn't even think was possible.
I know. Where's all that money
I
been?
was still getting used to billions when they started using trillions, And but I said the stock market would go up, and it did. And I know that CNN was wondering, why is everybody out of work and the stock market's going up? Well, Mnuchin was investing government money in the stock market to keep it propped up. And a friend of mine said, is that good? I said, I guess so. I don't know. They say only 50% of people in America have stock. Poor people don't. So those of us, usually at the end of the year, when you fill out your tax return, if you take a retirement account, that money that you put in almost equals the amount you can deduct from how much you owe the government. So it's always wise to do a little of that. So people like me saw it go up, but other people weren't invited to the party. But I do feel that big companies do hire people. So I guess it was good. If the stock market started falling, we'd have another depression.
So the planets were right? The planets in terms.
So wait, they met 3 times. First they met, and you can always feel when 2 planets are coming together. They haven't seen each other in 13 years. So they're really happy to have dinner. So they met on April 4th. And Jupiter was so happy to see Pluto. Pluto, I haven't seen you. You look great. And what can I do? How can we work together? And Pluto said, well, the universe gave me this virus. And I was wondering, you are the great expander. That's what Jupiter is. Whatever he touches, he makes bigger. And everybody knows that in astrology. So Pluto said, could you help me expand this? And Jupiter must have been drinking too much wine. And he said, sure, I'll help you, Pluto. Oh, let me get started, Mama Mia. And you remember March and April.
Oh, the worst months of my life.
In New York, we were turning Javits Center into a hospital. And we had a tent in Central Park. And it went into May too. And it really rattled our governor because they had the refrigerated trucks all along Park Avenue. And everybody in New York either knew at least one person who had died and at least one person who was on a ventilator. My best friend's father was, but he got off it. And they said he'll be a vegetable, and it wasn't true. He's fine. He's 74.
That's great.
Right. And he feels great. He doesn't have that long haul thing. Yeah.
Please tell me that's not happening again this year.
No. See, now Jupiter and Pluto met again June 30th. And I said, well, they're going to be retrograde. So that weakens a planet. And I said, I got to watch this because I don't like them, all these meetings they're having. They were going to have 3 meetings. So this is the middle one.
No, when you say meetings, does that mean they just align, even though they're millions of miles apart, they just align? Okay.
Guess what happened? All of Florida, the whole Sun Belt, Arizona, Texas, and up through California had real trouble. In July, they met June 30th, but they already started having trouble at the end of June. But I was really worried about November 12th, their last meeting. They would not meet again in 13 years. 13 years. And right after they met, people were going home for Thanksgiving, for Christmas. And now experts are a little worried in January because the Lunar New Year for the Chinese, I don't know if you know that. I go to China. I've been there 3 times. They get 2 weeks off from every company at the same time. And they're encouraged to see their family and go home.
Right.
But this year, the government's saying, we don't want you to travel. You really have to have a letter that you submit to the government if you feel like traveling this year, because we don't like what's going on. So we'll see what happens with that. That's going to be at the new moon, actually, in a few days.
Isn't that when is there a retrograde happening at that time?
No. Well, yes, Mercury. So,
Oh,
but wait, I looked back at the Spanish flu, which was 1918. First, I asked Google, how long did it last? It said it started March 1918 and it ended April 1920, 2 years. But they didn't have a vaccine. They had no idea what was causing it.
mm,
And we had World War One, where the soldiers were together. But we just had an uprising in Washington where all the soldiers were
right.
together again, and 150 of them got sick as a
Yes,
result
a
of
lot.
that. Uh,
Yes, yes.
so Jupiter and Pluto were together during that period again. At that, then I looked back to the yellow fever because I typed in epidemics in New York City. I thought, did we ever have anything else? And yellow fever lasted 3 years. They had no idea how to deal with it. But with the Spanish flu, what I found was very smart. They had tables set up on the sidewalk, one right after another, with nurses. And you would just walk up and say, give me a shot. And it wasn't like now, which is very complicated, but they're changing that. They're going to radically change that.
Interesting.
But I just heard President Biden speak. He said 2 or 3 million doses are coming out by the summer. So we have to make it to then. But even so, if a vaccine is 94% effective, they say mathematically 1 out of 20 people will still get sick.
Right.
And if you have a type A blood, you magnetize this virus to you.
Not a
My
good thing.
daughter has type A. I have O. She did get sick. Yeah.
Yeah.
But she
Oh,
recovered.
recovered. Oh, that's great. That's
The
great.
one in New York. Yeah.
So let me ask you about this year. You don't see anything happening like that again, right?
No, but I see that it's a slow process to get the shots.
but
And
astrologically,
there's another thing that I had underestimated. Jupiter and Pluto were together. And when they're together, they make such big financial packages. It's like a hot air balloon going to the moon. They're almost not anchoring. But this year, Saturn, their little brother, was like crazy glued together. I'd never seen 3 planets traveling around the zodiac without separating. And it's like little Saturn said, I want to come to dinner too. No, you stay home. Mommy said I could come. Okay. Get
tagging
your
along.
Come
So
along.
what does this mean?
Saturn is the wet blanket. I'm a little worried about Saturn. Saturn just entered Aquarius. Aquarius is an air sign, air transmission. Saturn is the lessons we learn in life.
Mm.
And if we lose patience, we get bored with the pandemic. The pandemic's not bored with us. He's going to stay in until March 2023. He's in for the long haul. So we do have, I think we'll be wearing masks for a long time, just like the Asians do.
That's
and
fine.
I think those plastic things, I had my nails done today and there's plexi everywhere.
Yes.
At the bank, everywhere. And it's okay. Nobody's got the flu. Nobody has the sniffles. We're all well, if we're washing our hands and doing everything.
I'm just praying that we are going to get some relief this year and we don't have to wait till March 2023 to get back to work.
Well, I think everybody has to pivot a little bit. I feel so sorry for the people out of work, especially in restaurants and food purveying business.
Entertainment.
I know people who are out of work. And if you know someone, I was able to hire someone part-time because he's smart. He was a general manager of a restaurant. He could definitely do things for me and his own home, and he happens to be the boyfriend of my secretary, Courtney, and he's fabulous. I know Scott's great. So try to hire people in your circle. The whole theme of Aquarius is that we have to help each other. Okay. Governments are going to be tapped out after this because Jupiter and Pluto have separated pretty far and they're not coming back for 13 years. So I don't see any more big deals. They're even going to have trouble getting the full package that the Democrats want. And it's funny to hear that Republicans are saying that's too much money when people are starving, but we'll see where it lands. It's
So does
going
it?
to fall to charity and us helping each other
Yeah.
and philanthropy and humanitarian and community activities, but that's not a bad thing.
Well, what about if you are
Mhm.
an Aquarius, if your sign is an
Oh,
Aquarius?
you're the headliner. You're
Well,
taking the lead. And you know, the Aquarians, this is their emerald year. I mean,
huh?
phenomenal. This
Last
is
year was
best in
supposed to be
12.
Capricorn's emerald
Well,
year.
well, last year was. But you know what? Look, you can either sit home on the couch and veg out on Netflix, or you could do things. I printed a calendar, okay, just came
Yes.
out. I placed a new app on Apple and Google Play on August 28th. Just to myself, my little baby is 5 months old.
Ah,
I'm
fantastic.
working on another app right now. You know, life is so precious. It's the only resource we can't get more of. We have to find a way to make every year count and do it productively, even if it just comes down to being Marie Kondo and cleaning out every closet in your house. You
Yes.
know, it makes you feel accomplished. I'm doing that, and just I learned to cook different recipes and different of the world. Oh
Right.
my God, did I become a serious home chef? You would
I'm
not gonna
so proud
believe.
of you. Yes, we are all getting to be good chefs. So
Yeah,
last year, you said that this year is good for Aquarius, but why? And then how was last
because
year good?
Jupiter's in its sign and they're going to get opportunity, but Saturn's there too, little brother, and it's going to be a big job that they take on. And they're going to say, whoa, do you think I'm qualified for this? Oh, yes, that's my job. I know who's qualified for each job, and you're the person for it.
Well,
And you're
let's
going to learn a lot. And anyone who takes on something new, if they're Aquarian, there will be an older, more experienced person because that's Saturn helping them. And they'll be there until 2023, March. And in the beginning, you'll be so glad to have this person, even next year, too. Oh my gosh, I have somebody to ask. But as you get closer to the end, you're like, I'm okay.
Mhm.
You don't have to come anymore, but they'll still come.
Right.
and
Well,
and
last
you
year was
wish they
supposed to
would
be
just get busy, but you know
right.
what? They are caring about you and want to get the best out of you. They're a little bit like a drill sergeant, but boy, when you get done with a tour of Saturn, you're sitting on top of the mountain. You
That was
are,
supposed to
you
be
learn
last year
everything.
for the
You
Capricorns.
are
That
done with Saturn
was.
and Capricorn. You had 3 years of it. So now the reward comes never usually during, but after Saturn leaves. He leaves a gift by the door. It's like, I know I drove you crazy. I know it was hard. I put your feet to the fire, but look where you are now. And think back, if you're a Capricorn, your listeners, how about where were you before December 2017? Because that's when it went in. It went in on the 23rd of December. So where were you earlier in 2016, 2017? What were you doing then? Have you taken on a big role? Have you grown? Yes, you have. It's almost impossible not to grow. And here's something else. You can't become a force to be reckoned with without Saturn, because Saturn gives you the gravitas and people
Teaches.
start taking you seriously. You know, when I started Astrology Zone, and I'm celebrating 25 years now, and
Congrats.
all the people around me, I mean, only one company, I remember Match.com had come out the same year as me. And of course, Amazon came out.
Oh, that's a good birth year.
But there were a lot of little companies that didn't make it. You know, if you're founding a company, you have to love it. And I had Saturn right over my head to the exact degree of my birthday son. And people said, oh, you're going to work hard and it's going to be terrible and you're going to quit. No, what you accomplished with Saturn, you get to keep forever. Saturn
Mm.
teaches you that the best things in life are the ones that we work the hardest to achieve and have the longest range possibility. You know, he teaches don't do things for instant gratification. For example, if you ever wanted to buy a house, well, give up some takeout and start saving. You will accomplish money. And now they have apps for saving. It makes it so much easier. You
Yes,
know, you can tell
yes.
the bank to put 100 or 200 in every week. And before you know it, you have the down payment.
Mm.
And Scorpio this year, real estate, real estate, real estate. They're dazzling. I mean, they'll find beautiful real estate at a very attractive price,
Mm.
be large and with a view and big closets. So
Wow,
this is the
interesting.
best in 12 years. So they really, if they want to move, they really should move in 2021
For
because
Scorpio. Now,
I mean, you'll have other opportunities, Scorpio, but this year is so special. I want you to-
is Saturn, so it was a very great ruler in terms of Capricorn, and the learning curve has been ridiculous.
everybody feels
But is
Saturn
it
the
for
same way.
everyone? Okay, so that's what that
But
means.
you know what?
Okay.
Capricorn deals with it better. It's their ruler, and they absorb the goodness of Saturn. They're like, see, Capricorn's very practical. Let me give you an example.
Oh,
Sagittarius rules bright colors, and think of the time of the year Sag is born, December. You see the lights and the presents, and we eat too much and we spend too much, and
oh.
and the brocades and the beautiful presents with the bows, and it's just a really fun time of the year. But then the bill comes at the end of December from American Express, and we're like, sticker shock.
Yeah.
And Capricorn says, what did you expect? Huh? What did you expect? They're so practical. And what comes in your mailbox right after Christmas? The IRS. And what colors is it? Black and white, because that is the colors of Capricorn. When you look out your window, you see snow, you see beautiful trees that are so
Stillness.
dark chocolate and
Mhm.
dark shadows, and putting the mountain in relief. And Capricorn teaches there's beauty in simplicity.
Mm.
And so, you know, and Sag is saying, oh my goodness, or the other signs, all the other signs. We just went through December. Like, I gained 5 pounds. I didn't, says Capricorn.
Oh. Wow.
And they're very realistic. And Plato called them the philosopher king because they always were good to the people in their employ.
Yeah.
They cared about them.
Yeah.
If they have to lay off people, they'll find them another job. They'll work hard to try. They'll make
Mhm.
some calls to friends. Could you use this person? She's great. I just can't afford to keep her. You know, they're good people. They're fair,
Yeah.
and they're sympathetic, and they love tradition. Princess Kate, you know, Prince William's wife,
Uh-huh.
is a Capricorn, January 9th. She's made for ribbon cutting ceremonies and wearing the tiara. And she's got Leo rising. So she's got that royalty with the Capricorn. She's the perfect one for him. I knew he was going to marry her because he's born the day after her father. And brides usually marry the sign of their mother or father.
Oh,
Or
wow.
Yeah, because it's familiar. And she did.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I said to my daughter, where did you read that? She said, I read it in a magazine. I said, that's not true. I said, Mommy, you married a Scorpio. Grandpa's a Scorpio. Great grandmother's a Scorpio. What do you mean it's not true?
Uh-huh.
It's so unconscious. At first you'll say no. And
That's amazing. You know, it must be so neat to have a mom who's an astrologer, but everybody can have access to the same exact thing through the app or through the.
I had to study 12 years
Mm.
before my mother let me read a single chart outside the family.
And that was
She
how
studied
long
8
ago?
years.
Wow.
When I was 14, I started. Well, I was paralyzed during an operation to save my life. They had to tourniquet me so tight from below the knee that when I woke up, I had a drop foot. I couldn't feel anything. I couldn't wiggle my toes. So doctor said, look, we have to do more surgery on your circulatory system. I was bleeding internally, and I could have lost the leg, and they could have lost me. So I wasn't mad at the doctor for what happened. I knew he was facing an impossible problem. Then I had to go through 2.5 years of grueling physical therapy, 5 days a week for 6 hours, doing different things as an outpatient. So I never attended high school. I did homeschool. I know they're saying on television kids get all mixed up if they do homeschool. It's not true. I'm fine. And then I went on to NYU, you know, to college. You know.
Did your mom help you through this process astrologically to say this will change, this will pass?
You know, my mother gave me so much hope. You know, when you go visit a patient, first of all, never wear black, wear a pretty color. And then when you go in, don't say, how's the pain? No, 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 no.
Uh,
Say, oh, when we break you out of jail, which was the hospital, you'll have so many pretty dresses. And remember, I'm 14. You'll have so many pretty shoes against the
oh,
wall. You'll say, what shoes will I wear today?
and
And
this is
Susie,
where
you'll
you
be
are
able to
now.
travel. So she
Mm-hmm.
constantly painted a picture of what's to come.
Mm.
And look, first they put you on a tilt table to get used to being upright. Then you're on the parallel bars. And just going the length of them is like going to Arizona just to get a
Yes.
magazine on the other side. And then you're back in surgery, you're back on the tilt table. So
You've
it
had
was
an amazing,
hard.
amazing life. And look at you now. I mean, you have this, you
Well,
do
my
have
mother was right,
a
but I'm
wonderful
simply
life.
trying to do what she did for me for the rest of the world.
Yes, that makes
I want
sense.
to,
That makes sense. So wait,
no
I'm going to
matter
ask you
how
real
bad.
quick. How did you, first of all, how did your mom learn? Where did all of this great knowledge come from?
Well, she never wanted to study astrology, but she was leaving the small town they had grown up in upstate New York. There were 5 children. She was the youngest. She was closest to Harriet, who was the oldest. She said, I'm going to New York. And Harriet said, you cannot leave. I am. There's nothing here. She said, okay, why don't we study something together and be on the telephone every night? So my mother,
Oh,
being Gemini, said, oh, learning telephone, perfect. What are we going to study? Astrology. And my mother like, no, that doesn't work. And Aunt Harriet said, it does. Erica, I need you to make the charts, because remember, there was no computers.
right.
And my grandfather was an engineer, but they were still poor because it was, depression and post-depression. There was no work, and he had
Mm,
tuberculosis. So they had to stay up there in the
mm.
air, that's how they treated you. So she said, this is crazy. And my aunt would cry and say, all right, I'll do the charts. I'm good with math. I'll do it. And then she found that astrology does work.
Does have
And
answers.
and then years later, I come along after she gets married, and I'm defective, and none of the doctors know what's wrong. And they're saying I'm making it up. I should see a psychiatrist.
Mm,
And she knew that was crazy. She knew her
mm.
child, because I wouldn't move an inch in the bed. I'd be in such unbelievable pain for 6 weeks until the body healed and absorbed all the blood. 6 to 8 weeks. I was always out of school, but only once a year. And it would always trigger on a holiday like Christmas or the Easter Bunny or my birthday. That's because I got excited.
Uh,
And my veins would turn to tissue paper and vanish,
oh,
and I'd become a river of blood. But
wow.
it was only in the left leg. So
Oh, okay.
they
I mean,
said, you're
it's
lucky.
amazing. You've had support your whole life, and now you're supporting the world. And I'm wondering if you could give us about maybe just a quick overview of 2021 for all of the signs. Are you able
Yeah.
to do that?
Aries, you had a great year career-wise last year. And there was a lot of pressure on you. But this year, the pressure comes off, and you're going to have more time for your emotional life, more time for friends and love. And if you have love, children, possibly if you want a baby. That's my number one question. I get a lot of questions about babies.
Do you?
This is a great year for them to try. And last year, it was what they knew that counted. This year, it's who they know. Okay.
Huh.
Taurus is going to have a spectacular career year. I don't want you concentrating on anything but your career. But at the end of January, right now, they may be moving or fixing up their house or getting some interesting news about the family. Home and family is what's happening right this minute. But by the middle of February, their career, an opportunity comes, and it's a big deal. There's a lot of responsibility involved. And so they'll have help, though. Even their friends will give them advice. And then by the end of February, Valentine's Day comes late for them. It doesn't come on Valentine's Day. It comes
Interesting.
on February 27th as a big surprise. So don't give up on Valentine's Day. Who cares if it's late? Who cares? Gemini did well financially last year. This year, it's about writing a book or starting a podcast or hosting a TV show, something with communication or import, export, working with people overseas. You can't travel yet. No, that's kind of out of the picture. Even if you went, the restaurants are closed. It's money wasted. Wait, but legal matters favor you too. Cancer, Finally, relationship matters lift. This was the girl or the guy saying, I love you not, I love you, I love you. They were going crazy. Their partner was not that easy to get along with. Maybe they were out of work. It could have been that. There could have been a lot of stress or illness of the partner. But this year, much better. And the money rolls in. Money comes in for Cancer. And they're very wise about money. This is not a sign that spends, they save. Yeah, they're very smart.
Yes, I know a few. Brilliant.
And they'll even have a dream vacation, possibly somewhere between the end of May, June, or July, but no other time. That's it. But it's spectacular and it's luxurious. Leo is learning how to dance with a partner without stepping on the other person's toes and vice versa. Now they say, wait a minute, I'm not getting along with my husband or wife. No. It means you're going deeper. You're past that. Hi, I love you. You're great. You're getting into the serious work of life. This is where the real love deepens. And this is where you realize love has its privileges, but its responsibilities. And it only works if both people are engaged in helping each other. And sometimes you have to do more, and sometimes your partner has to do more. That's life.
That's their learning, yes.
And in a good relationship, it goes back and forth. They're going to make money on investments this year. So, and that will be in the spring, May, June, July. So
great.
Leo hates the word budget. Never use that word. Never. Virgo.
Right. No, I can understand that. My mom's a Leo.
They love designer clothes and stuff. I mean, of
designer.
course, they'd rather have one or two things than a whole closet of lesser things.
Yes.
Virgo had really good love aspects last year. So if you're a Virgo listening, if you met someone, that could be the person. Give that person a chance, because I love the timing of when you met that person. This year, even if you're out of work, suddenly everybody's calling you. I really need you to help me out. You're so good with computers, or you're so good with organization, or you know how to organize a closet, or maybe you're a stylist and you can help me buy new clothes. They're going to get so many calls that could start a business. So
that's Virgo?
Yeah. And Virgo also is the only sign that's going to do something about those pandemic pounds. If they gain even 3 pounds, they're freaking out. So they're going to find the YouTube, instructor that they like, and they're actually going to work out. And I admire that, because they're the ones that always go to the gym early. And, I like to get out of the house to work out, but, we have to adapt. My daughter bought
at least you're still doing it, and that's the best part. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Now, Libra won the jackpot. They have the best love aspects. Little cherubs are circling above. Cupid has sent them. They have their little baby bows and arrows, and they're going to be there all year. So Libra, if you're looking for love, you have little cherubs to help you.
Wow.
The only thing is you have to be open. Too many girls say, oh, he's not my type. I think some websites give you too much information about a person. It's almost like a job interview. Be a little bit more open and generous, because you may be saying no to someone who could change your life. And, there's no guarantees in life. Fortunes, some girls say, I only will marry a rich man. Well, some people lose all their fortune. I think you have to put it on the personality and the integrity and the honesty and the warmth of the person. That's more important, and that's more endearing. But anyway, this is a great year for Libra to have a baby. Now, let's say Libra's saying, no, I'm swearing off love. I broke up 2 years ago. I'm not ready. And I certainly am not ready for a baby. Well, you can use these same aspects for creativity, because it's in the same house.
That's
so
great.
You can write that book or make that portfolio of fashion design, whatever is your favorite. Now we come to Scorpio, which is all real estate. the best real
Okay.
estate on the planet. Everybody wants to be a Scorpio, because they're going to find
My apologies. I couldn't hear what you said.
Whoops. Siri. They're going to find Siri.
Siri. Where did you come from?
Well, the Scorpio, though, what if you have a Scorpio who's a realtor, or if you're, you want to hire a realtor who's a Scorpio? That would be a good idea.
Oh, great. Well,
Okay.
they say that New Yorkers, 400,000 New Yorkers moved out, but now they're saying in the New York Times, 200,000 are trying to move back, and they're finding not so easy because they want to move back to their same neighborhood, and they have all these qualifiers. And they said they are facing such a wall of problems. So before you leave a city, maybe you shouldn't give up your apartment. If you're allowed by the landlord to lease it, maybe you should, because if you change your mind, it may not be possible to come back. So, but if you have a real estate agent who's a Scorpio, he's getting all the most prized properties.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, now Sagittarius, you went over a little bit, and Capricorn.
Well, Sag made money last year. They pivoted and they found new ways to bring in income. This year, it's communication. I have a director who used to do my show, and I said, how you doing? And he said, I've started an app, and I'm teaching film school on my app.
Oh,
that's so good.
creative.
I mean, that's so forward thinking. If you're a Sag, you have talent in storytelling. If you always wanted to write a novel, but your sister or brother kept poo-pooing it and saying, oh, come on, you can't write. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. If you want to take a creative writing class online, it's something I've always wanted to do. It's so nice to take classes and people teach you things. You could write that screenplay or that blockbuster novel. Look at J.K. Rowling. She never wrote anything before she.
Oh my goodness.
So Sag is the great storyteller, whereas Gemini is the journalist looking for the truth. Well, Sag is always looking for truth too, but they like to spin. It's almost like you're sitting in a campfire at camp, and your camp leader is telling you a story, and the fire's starting to burn down. He said, all right, I'll tell you the rest tomorrow. No, none of us are going to bed until you finish this story. Okay, put more coal on the fire. Let's get some more hot dogs. You kids are going to be hungry. And no, I mean, they're so compelling.
Yeah.
You've got this in your DNA, Sag. So
that's interesting.
But you could do a podcast, you could do an app, you could redo your website.
Natural writers, natural storytellers. Good to know. Good to know my daughter's a Sag.
I mean, everybody has a writing partner. That's so nice. We don't see that in New York, but you've got it there. And you also have the little cafes and the weather.
What is your sign, Susan?
No, I never say.
What?
No, I keep the spotlight on my readers. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I never knew that.
I never say.
That's fun. Well, and then Capricorn is supposed to
have... Capricorn, if you read December, which is now off my servers, I had to tell them they'd earn money. But that's such a boring sentence, you're going to make money. I had to make it more vivid. So I started doing research on Saturn and Jupiter. I don't know why, but I started going on Google, and I come across this article in the BBC. And it said, scientists used to think these two planets had the wrong atmosphere to create carbon, but now we know they have the perfect atmosphere. It's raining diamonds on Jupiter and Saturn.
I did read this, yes.
Now, of course, Tiffany and Cartier are not on Saturn and Jupiter yet. So they're not cut. But I said, dear reader, let's use poetic license. I just want you to keep in your mind these diamonds falling in your second house of income, because this is your year to be paid what you're worth. To all that sowing the seeds and planting them and watering them and irrigating and then picking them. This is the year of the big harvest, the best in 12 years. So I want Capricorn to be ready for that.
Oh,
Now,
from
I'll talk
your mouth
about
to God's
Aquarius
ears.
next,
Wow.
but I want to talk about Pisces for a minute. This is a quiet year. They're standing off stage. They know they're going to be middle of the stage come December 30th when Jupiter goes into their sign. They'll get a little preview in the spring because Jupiter is racing so fast. It's going to go into Pisces, and the people born around the 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd of February are really going to feel the lock. So if you're signing a contract or making a deal or launching a product or service, you're doing it in May or July. Mercury's retrograde in June and October. You don't want to sign contracts or launch things then. But this is the year to be ready if anything is troubling you. You know, now we have therapists who will talk to you like this on the phone.
Mhm.
You don't have to drive over, beat
Right.
traffic, or ask your boss for time off. This is great.
Yes.
And a lot of people are getting the help they need. And sometimes you just need a few sessions of someone listening to you
Mhm.
and making some observations that unlock a problem.
Well,
So
you have a
Pisces-
lot of things that unlock problems here, Susan Miller. You're
and
amazing.
Aquarius, you have the horn of plenty. This is the
Aw.
year to meet your one true love.
Mhm.
Doors will open for you that were always permanently locked. You know what they say? If you knock long enough and loud enough at the palace gates, someone somewhere is going to let you in.
Oh, let's hope that's my husband. That's great. Well, you can find out all of this at astrologyzone.com. The app is on the Apple Store and on Google Play under Astrology Zone. I highly suggest it. I look at it every day just to see what's going on. And
Well, I
what's
have
gonna
a
happen.
free version, so everyone should take advantage of that. You get a little forecast and you get my uncut monthly, because my uncut monthly is what put me on the map, and that's what people want. You
It's
shouldn't
amazing.
really read on Safari or any of the browsers on your phone. It's not as secure. An app is ironclad secure. And did you know the app developer doesn't have your name and address? Apple and Google keep it in a locked box, which I like.
Mhm.
So you don't have to worry that anybody's selling your name.
Good
It's
for
really a
privacy.
wonderful thing.
That is
I give a free app because some people are in, dire
Yeah.
straits right now, and
Yeah.
I want to be available to everybody.
Thank you so much, Susan. You're amazing, and you always, always have been. I love your information. I love how you personify this whole experience of astrology. You bring it into a story, and I love it. Thank you again.
Thank
again,
you.
Absolutely. And the website again is astrologyzone.com. And I am Lisa Garr. And remember, you can listen to our show and this whole show on our podcast, wherever you find your podcast, find The Aware Show. And until next time, I invite you to stay aware. Thank you.